in a piece. Working, we serving the streets. About to go hit police. Bang, bang, leave you sleep. Tick, tick, boom. Hard body, and not scaring nobody.
I have been a fairly good boy. I don't usually do cock-ups, but apart from being late constantly 20 minutes every shoot or being late to the office, I would say this February we were at the 8th edition of Valley Run and we were swapping tires amongst all the other cars to get the best grip as we always do, and I forgot what was the right tire and what was the left tire, which at that time I didn't know was such a big deal, but it turned out to be quite a big deal and I made Niranjan very upset. Sorry, Niranjan.
So my biggest cock-up of the year was actually just about 20 days back. So Autocar actually needed a stock Punto Abarth for one of their drag races at the Ambi Valley Strip. This drag race was scheduled for the 2nd of December and Valley Run was starting on the 3rd of December. And on the 1st of December, we had just wrapped up a shoot at Autodisir, and it was really foggy that time and it was raining super hard. And I was just exiting, and that time I went over this really bad big rock. So I went over that and I immediately felt something wrong. So I stopped over to the side and I noticed that I had slit one of my tires. And this was just probably 12 hours before me having to reach the airstrip. So I was really worried about that, and like probably the day after that we had Valley Run coming up, so it was a pretty big cock up from my side. Yeah,
I think my biggest cock up actually happened a few blocks down the road only from here. I was riding the BMW F900R. We were actually supposed to return the M340i and the F900R after our F900R versus M340i Pune to Mumbai shootout. My license was actually inside the M340i. I had my gloves on, my jacket, my helmet and everything. I was supposed to take a left onto North Main Road and I apparently ran the red signal. And right on the corner, the cops were there, they stopped me. I did not have my license, so I was waiting basically for my license. And Tanay was driving the M340i and he was coming from the back, and the M340i does not have like proper registration plates. It's on like an HRTC plate, something like that. And once they stopped the F900R, I gave my license, they started looking at the M340i, and we were basically stuck over there for like a good hour or so because the cops were trying to figure out whose car it is and why do a bunch of 21-year-olds have these two expensive vehicles with them. So that was a massive cock up from my side.
Well, I have a history of blowing up the engine of my bike a lot past few years. So I had my bike's engine rebuilt just 2.5 months back, and I was riding it well, respectfully. I was getting around good fuel economy also. But after 2.5 months, I decided to just take it for a midnight spin, and suddenly it just started sounding weird. And then I realized I have to probably rebuild the engine again. So that's probably one of the major cock-ups that's happened this year.
The biggest cock-up of the year, it was I guess my second or my third day working, and I had set up a meeting with a person, and they gave us the meeting timings, details and everything. So I took Soham and Bhavni and we went to the meeting, only to realize that the person that we were supposed to be meeting has not showed up. And then started the infinite loop of me following up to them calling us again, we going again, getting ghosted again.
So biggest cock-up of the year according to me has to be when the driver shop sent me an amount of money to buy a mic, and I did. But since it was my first time using a mic, I didn't know how to use it, and the phone in which the audio was stored got destroyed. Something happened to its motherboard and it couldn't be repaired. So now we didn't have any audio, so what I did was I had to voice over each and every word to perfection, because you just cannot imagine a video too, because there is a significant amount of money involved. So I had to sit for 8 to 10 hours and voice over each and every word to perfection. And thankfully in the end it did turn out to be pretty well.
I think my funniest moment of the year, and I think so it was more funny for like the people I work with, was when I was building my stage 2 Laura, and I was not planning on changing the dampers and the shock absorbers or anything. I was only planning on getting the lowering springs fitted in. But the nut bolts for my struts on top, for the top mounts of my struts, were completely rusted, and it was basically not removable at all, and it was not repairable also. So that was something that I had not accounted for, and that was like another 30,000-40,000 rupees that I had to spend out of my pocket, which I was totally not ready for. But thank God Niranjan and the people at Autodecir were there to, like, support my car basically and that whole build. But yeah, I think it was more funny for Bhavni, Tanay and Kiran, I think so.
So it was supposed to be me who was actually reviewing the Trident. We had set out that day to review the bike, and when we were actually taking rollers, I was riding the bike, and just out of nowhere the bike just stopped working. It like shut down, and we thought it was because the bike had overheated, because at that point, since it was like the rainy season, the people at Triumph had told me that the radiator usually gets clogged up because of all the muck and everything, so the bike tends to overheat. So we spent like a good 2 hours trying to let the bike cool down, clean the radiator and everything. But it was later on that we found out that the fuel sensor had gone bad, and while the fuel sensor on the bike was showing me that we had half a tank of fuel, but the tank was actually dry as
So the funniest moment of 2021 has to be when my first video of the i20 was going to be uploaded. So before the video was uploaded and I saw it, I was so impressed with myself. I was like, Hindustan ka Matt Watson to main banunga. And I was just crushing over myself, literally. And then when the final video came out and I saw the comments, so people were actually roasting me, people were calling me a girl and pointing out my nakhras, which they were kind of right. That video was quite bad when it comes to me hosting it. But yeah, I learned a lot from it and I kind of improved, I guess. You guys tell me.
So we were at the Chakan test track to test out the new 250 twins from Bajaj, and well, I was one of the two guys with the race suit. We were told to kit up. I did suit up, and then we were told that, well, we are not going on the track right away, we are going in the second half of the day. So again, like, I just removed off my suit and I was dressed, but because I'm too skinny, everyone thought I was tripping down, and then Tanay and Shreyas, our main photographer, they did the job of just catching me in the action and then making the memes out of it, So I think that was really hilarious. People around were also just wondering what the fuck is going on here.
I was at the Valley Run 9th edition, and I was lined up at the strip with Tanay's Abarth, and Soham's run was right before mine. So I was looking, there was a car in between us, so I was looking through a car, and I could see him go very well, nice, good launch. And after that, it turns a little quiet. I put my window down and all I hear is and then I thought, okay, he's blown his clutch. But instead of being worried, I thought that was bloody hilarious, and I couldn't stop laughing behind the pit.
I was riding shotgun in Soham's stage 2 Laura, and we had a Bridgestone livery on the windshield. So we enter the expressway and everything's going fine. So we start pasting it at around 80-90. Okay. I look left and then I look right. Half of the Bridgestone sticker has come off. So then we pull to the side. Then we use my Starbucks card to to glue it down.
So my favorite car of the year, well, it's kind of a draw between two cars. The first is the XUV 700 and the other is the Jeep Wrangler 2018 model. I'll give it to the XUV 700 because the sheer value for money and the amazing engine it has to offer. It's just a class above its segment, man.
Well, it's not a media car, it's a very old car. So working along with Throttle Store, I can say I am the rightful guardian of the car. So we have a Honda City Type 2, and for the Valley Run I was taking care of it. I was driving it up and down to the event. So driving that car, well, after driving a Skoda for a long time, it was good to have something raw and mechanical experience. I think that is what was missing for someone who just started driving recently.
Well, I would like to say M340i, but I'm going to reserve it for someone else because he's driven it more than me this year. But my favorite car is a BMW, of course. I'm a BMW fanboy. It was the 840i. It has the same powertrain as the M340i. It has the B58 inline 6 turbo, and it's an absolute beast, man. I mean, it doesn't have a lot of power in terms of, you know, like performance car things, and it's not even a performance car, I would say. It's like a luxury sedan with a nice engine, but I mean, it was an amazing car to drive. It was rear wheel drive, so that's why I like it more than the M340i. And the amount of slides and the pulls and everything, and the amount of fun, just pure fun that I had with the 840i was absolutely amazing.
We've driven quite a lot of cool cars this year, but hands down the M340i. I was lucky enough to have a couple of weeks with the car and throughout the year, and it was beautiful. The four-wheel drive, the X-Drive system is just great. It made me feel super confident everywhere, and with a little bit of rain it does get quite slidey. So it is, I think, the most versatile car in India currently, if you have the money.
My favorite car probably is the JCW. It is not the power, like obviously the car is like fast. It's supposed to be a hot hatch, a very expensive hot hatch that too. But I just loved the fact that it was super low and the suspension was really stiff. I am a big fan of stiff suspensions, and they handle really well. When you're going down the corners, or if you've got some nice curves on the road, it's just gonna go flat out. So yeah, that's my favorite car of the year.
My favorite car of the year is the 5 Series. I attended my first like Sunday car meet in Bombay in that car, and I'm telling you that I'm not a person who usually goes, who usually chooses luxury over driving pleasure, and BMW's tagline, which is sheer driving pleasure, that holds true in the 5 Series. It's a very lovely car, and I just adore it.
My favorite bike of the year was the Trident. It's got good amount of power, like it's got the perfect power for the city. Like it is not unusable at all. You can probably daily it if you want to. And when you want to go full ham on the bike, you can definitely do that.
Again, another offering from BMW, which we also had a good time in. We took it to Bombay. It was the BMW F900R. Very well balanced chassis, very refined engine, and super confidence inspiring. Again, a noob like me riding, I felt at home, because I'm not quite a rider, but I felt at home in the bike. The bike tips nice and easy, and it was super confidence inspiring. Love that bike.
The competition's really tough between two bikes, but if I had to choose between the F250 and another bike, that would be the RC200, because I had the bike for around 3 days, 3.5 days. I rode it for well over 300 kilometers, and well, I did enjoy the hell out of it. Well, if Pune and Mumbai guys know Lavasa, so I think RC200.
I'm not a very big bike guy. In fact, I know quite less about them. But one bike that stood out for me this year has to be the Pulsar N250, because reason one is I love the way it looks. I think it looks very sharp. It looks amazing. And the second reason is it's quite value for money too. And the third reason is because it did justice to the Pulsar heritage. I think it's a very fine product, and it will do very good in the Indian market.
Favorite bike of the year was the Honda CB200X, which Honda graciously invited us for their media ride. Thank you, Honda. They have brought, let's just say, a new kind of budget adventure tourer riders to this, and I really love the seating position. It makes you feel as if you're sitting on a chair, like while your foot, well, like both your feet are up on the pegs. It's like you're sitting in a chair. It's wonderful.
We've rode a lot of bikes this year, but I think so I'm not going to go for the obvious choices that we've done. So I'm going to say it was the Honda CB350 RS, because I had that bike for quite a lot of time, and I absolutely love the way it looks. It looks really retro, it looks really fancy, and more importantly, it gives amazing fuel economy. So I rode it for like a good 300 kilometers without having to fill up. So I think so that was my bike of the year.
As TDH, us on and off camera have grown quite a lot, which I'm quite happy about. But my highlight personally would be honing my skills with Rayo Racing, becoming a better driver, and actually understanding what it takes to become a driver, and understanding where my level is, how far can I go. And it's always so much better for us as drivers to learn. So I love learning, and I think that was my highlight for the year.
My highlight of the year was we were actually down in Bombay to shoot the 730 LD from BMW, and it was a Sunday morning, and we were just taking like rounds of the Horniman Circle, and because we were shooting like this one bit inside the car with all four of us inside. So obviously Sunday morning cops are always there on the road. So on like the fourth round, the cops stopped us and they asked us what we were doing. So that's when we told them what we do and what we were actually doing with the car. And we did apologize to them because we did not want to create any sort of ruckus. And that is when they said, and I quote, "आपको जो करना है आप करो, Sunday आपका ही है." After hearing that, I was actually really happy because I'm glad that people are now starting to understand the car culture in India. And I really hope that some cops from Pune also take note. So please be cooperative. Thank you.
It definitely has to be the track day at Chakan with Bajaj India. So one day Soham just calls me a few days before the testing. He's like, we have a chance to go to Chakan and we'll be testing the new F250 and the N250. The highlight was the entire day itself, where after the track day, not to boast, apparently I rode so well, and also I was only one of the two people with a race suit over there. Well, I was going to suit down and they asked me not to suit down, and 5 minutes later they called me up for an interview. So there was a specific shoot that's happened, but I can't speak much about that, so stay tuned for that.
I think it was a great year for TDH in general. We did a lot of things. We did a lot of areas where we don't usually go, and it was a very new year for us. We did a lot of new things, but I think so. I have basically a list of things that were highlights for me, but I think so the top moment for me was definitely February, the Valley Run, when we had gone and participated. It was our first time participating as a race team, and I had put my stage 2 Polo GT TSI, and surprisingly I came first in my category, stepping up onto the podium with my car, with my friends, with the whole team, being that was the highlight for me for this year.
It wasn't the most perfect of valley runs, but the midnight open wheelie class, that was the craziest stuff I've ever seen. Pretty much every other liter class bike, ZX-10Rs, pretty much every other liter class bike, you name it, that thing was going wheelie.
Highlight of the year. Well, it has got to be when I joined the Drivers Hub in 2021. The journey till now with TDH has been nothing short of amazing. I have loved being a part of the Drivers Hub each and every moment, and I'm just so glad to be a part of an organization like the Drivers Hub. I have learned many new things, I have experienced many new things, and the people at the Drivers Hub are simply very creative, very amazing human beings. So that has got to be my highlight of 2021.